Good morning, Year 2. It's Marvellous Monday. I hope you had a lovely weekend and are ready to learn about length this week. So we're going to start a new chapter all about length. Let's have a look at our InFocus task. Previously, in Year 1, we've learned that we can use different objects to measure length. In the picture of the bed, we can see that we can use one stick as one unit. And if you look carefully, you'll notice that the bed is about 5 units long. I'm going to draw a little line to show you where those sticks end because it's not that clear. So we've got 1 stick, 2 sticks, 3 sticks, 4 sticks, and the last one, 5 sticks. I want you to talk to your adult and think about what other measurements can we use? What measurements have you got in your house that you could use? What have you seen at school that could be used to measure things? Write down some of your ideas. Now, most homes have a tape measure. If you do, go and find your tape measure because it will be very useful for this lesson. And in our Let's Learn today, we're looking at a tape measure. At school, we tend to use metre rulers, either plastic ones or wooden ones, but a tape measure will suffice when you're at home. We can see from the picture, we've got a picture of a tape measure. The tape measure that they're using in Maths No Problem is 1 metre long. Now, a metre is what we call a unit of length. It's one way of measuring the length or the height of something. When we write metre, we write shorthand and we simply write a So we read 1 metre, 1m, as 1 metre. If something was 30 metres long, we would write 30 with an m next to it. This is something you'll need to think about as we work through today's lesson. We could use a tape measure to help us measure the length of something or the height of something in metres. We usually measure long objects in metres. We can now see that the same bed from our InFocus task has a metre ruler underneath it. And we can say that that bed is about 2 metres long. Remember, we read 2m as 2 metres. We can measure the length of objects around us using a metre ruler or a tape measure. We can see that the blue desk measures less than 1 metre. So we can say the length of the desk is shorter than 1 metre. The brown desk, though, the teacher's table, is more than 1 metre. So we can say the length of the teacher's table is longer than 1 metre. Metres are also a really good unit of measurement to measure the height of something, and a tape measure is the best measuring instrument to use to measure height. Now we can see there's a cupboard and the little girl's having to stand on a chair because the cupboard is very tall. We can say that the height of the cupboard is about 2 metres. Now sometimes you can have a go at showing roughly what a metre is using your arm span. So why don't you have a go? Ask your adult to hold your tape measure to a metre. Put your arms out. Is your arm span more than a metre, less than a metre, or about the same? Okay, I want you to complete an activity today for your guided practice. And you need to work with an adult or maybe a brother or a sister if you've got at home. The only thing you need is a tape measure. I want you to measure your arm span with the tape measure. And think about, is your arm span longer or shorter than 1 metre? Next, I want you to measure the length, the width and the height of some of the things around you. Think about, are they more than 1 metre, about 1 metre, or less than 1 metre? So have a guess first, and then use your tape measure to check. Now, the table we've been given are obviously things of objects that we find in the classroom, such as a whiteboard, a classroom window, the teacher's table, the height of the chair. So you'll have to exchange some of those objects with things that you've got at home. Okay, remember to have a guess first, whether it's more than a metre, about a metre, or less than a metre, and then check. Talk to your partner and think about what you've found. The main focus here is understanding what a metre is and how big it is when you measure 1 metre. Okay, time for your independent learning. Again, these worksheets are available on the school website. Otherwise, you can draw and write down the answers in your books. Worksheet 1, measuring length in metres. Put a tick in the correct box to show the length of these objects. Now, you're going to have to use your general knowledge of these objects and roughly how big they are. Use your tape measure as well. Have it set at 1 metre so you can visualise how long 1 metre is and then compare it to these objects. Or if you've got these objects at home, you might want to measure these objects or similar objects. The height of the desk, the height of a door in your house, the length of one of your books, the book you're writing in or a reading book, the length of your arm, and the length of the whiteboard. You might use a window in your lounge or your kitchen instead. Tick whether they are less than 1 metre, about 1 metre, or more than 1 metre. Question 2. It asks you to look around your lunch hall and name an object for each of the lengths shown in the table. Now, obviously, you're not at school, so you can't use the lunch hall, but use your home or your garden instead. Find an object and name the object in the table that is less than 1 metre in length. Then find an object that is about 1 metre in length. And finally, find an object that is more than 1 metre in length. Exactly the same for question 2b, however this time you need to name an object for each of the heights shown in the table. So can you find an object that is less than 1 metre in height, is about 1 metre in height, and is more than 1 metre in height? Question 3, you're going to be using your tape measure to measure in metres, and again these items are mainly in school, so please feel free to use something similar at home. The length of a table is about how many metres? The height of your parent is about how many metres? And C, the length of my classroom, you might use the length of your lounge, your bedroom, your study, your garden, wherever you are at home and you feel that you want to measure. About how many metres long is it? Exactly the same for question D, the length of your chair. E, the height of your classroom whiteboard. You might want to use the height of the wall in your lounge. You might use the height of your doorway, your arch, whatever you've got at home that might have a different height. And question F, the height of one of the doors in your house. Now, for those of you who want to push yourself a bit further, I've included some extra challenges, and these are really for you to think about explaining your thinking and reasoning as to why you think what you think. Extra challenge 1. Circle the objects that you would measure in metres. Tick the objects that you would measure in centimetres. So think carefully about these objects. What's going to be the most efficient way to measure them? Whether you're measuring the height of the objects or the width or the length, which ones are most suitable, and more importantly, why? For those sports fans out here, this is for you. Extra challenge 2. Usain Bolt can run 100 metres in 9.58 seconds. That's just under 10 seconds. How far do you think you can run in 10 seconds? Do you think it will be more or less than 100 metres? Measure how far you and your friends can run in 10 seconds. Record your answers in meters and centimeters. So you'll need to go outside where you've got a big enough space. You're going to need to measure 100 meters from start to finish, maybe using some chalk. You're going to need a stopwatch to see how far you can run in 10 seconds, and you can compare with Usain Bolt how long it takes you to run 100 meters or how far you can run in 10 seconds. And extra challenge 3. Amir has a meter stick. He wants to measure the length of his classroom. He says, I can't measure the length of my classroom because my meter stick isn't long enough. Can you explain to Amir how he could measure the length of his classroom? You might want to take some photographs of how you might solve this problem, or explain to your adult, or do it by writing some sentences. That's it today, Year 2s. Have fun with these activities, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Have a good day.